So who is your worst critic? Who is the person that is the hardest on you, that is always noticing the things you do wrong? Who's that person? For me personally, it's myself. It's me. I am my own worst critic. And for a lot of people, that's true, because we as human beings tend to be hard on ourselves. We tend to beat up on ourselves. We tend to not give ourselves a whole lot of slack. We're not very forgiving when we make mistakes. That's part of our human nature. But why is that? Were we born that way? Well, there could be some biology to that, but I think a lot of it has to be learned. A lot of it, our behavior is learned. So maybe our parents were that way with themselves. Maybe we saw them be hypercritical of themselves, or maybe they were hypercritical with us. Maybe we didn't get a lot of praise, we didn't get a lot of encouragement, and therefore we learned to be hypercritical of ourselves. That's one possibility. Now again, we can't blame everything on our parents because it's not all their fault, and I'm sure they did the best that they could in most cases, in most circumstances. So what else could contribute to our criticism, our self-criticism? Well, it may be that we have the mindset that if we're hard on ourselves, it's going to motivate us. It's going to give us the energy and the drive and the intensity that we need in order to succeed in life. So some people think that and believe that. There may be a little bit of truth to that, but I think we overdo it in many cases. The third reason is that sometimes for some people, being self-critical is a self-protection. It's their way of protecting themselves, because if I'm hard on me and someone else is hard on me, I've already thought of that. I've already beat the heck out of myself. It doesn't hurt as much. I'm not as sensitive to it because I've already thought of the things that I've done wrong or the mistakes I've made. So it becomes a way of protecting oneself and of insulating oneself from criticism from others. Now, some people also are self-critical because it actually disconnects them from others. And it insulates them, but it also creates a certain level of detachment and a certain level of distance that maybe they desire. Because some people have a real fear of criticism or rejection from others. So this is a way to not risk, if you're hard on yourself, you may not risk being around others for fear of being criticized or judged. But obviously self-criticism and having that inner voice that is so negative and so hard on yourself can have detrimental effects. It can cause certainly anxiety and fear, but it can also cause depression. It can also cause insecurity and feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. It can cause a person to be more withdrawn and more detached from others. It can have pretty devastating effects. So what do we do to change that inner voice? To change that hypercritical nature that we have adopted within ourselves? Well, the first thing might sound a little weird is we accept it. We embrace it. We acknowledge it and we actually allow ourselves, we give ourselves permission to have that inner voice that's critical. We allow ourselves permission, but we don't allow it to fester or to consume us or to overwhelm us. We try to give it its due, but maybe we decide, okay, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to feel badly about yourself or to be hard on yourself. And then after 10 minutes, I'm going to stop and I'm going to move on and I'm going to let it go. And maybe I'm going to feel sad or angry or frustrated, but I'm going to have it be time limited instead of just endless. The second thing that we can do is we can try and capture those negative thoughts, those destructive, self-critical thoughts. and we can try and reframe them. We can try and make them different and modifying them. Where it's not, I'm a bad person, it may be you modify that to say, I can do better. I can try harder. Instead of putting yourself down and saying negative things about who you are, but you switch it, you modify it so that it doesn't, consume your whole identity. The third thing is you can take a look at some of the choices and some of the language that you use in that inner voice. Because people that are self-critical use should a lot. I should do this. I have to. I must. I need to do this. And should and need to, those words are often filled with fear and guilt. And they're driven by fear and guilt, which is not good drivers, not good motivators. So you can replace that language with a different set of words. So instead of should and need to, you can say, I will, I can, I want to, I choose to. Those are different words. Those words are more empowering because they're words that are going to build your self-respect and your self-love and your self-esteem. So try changing your language. Something else that is so important is have compassion for yourself. Be able to forgive yourself when you make a mistake. Because we are human and we all make mistakes. We're not perfect. We can't be perfect. And no one expects us to be perfect. So modify your expectations where they're more realistic and where you can be more compassionate and more forgiving of yourself. And lastly, stay connected to people that are encouraging, that are supportive, that lift you up, they don't tear you down. Surround yourself with those types of people and take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, because that will help with that inner voice. I challenge you to be aware of the inner voice and what it's saying, and if it's hypercritical, for you to take one of those 5 options and apply it to your life. It can make a difference. Until next time, Dr. Tony Ferretti, signing out.